right, so some more examples of translating sentences into expressions. So we have a carpenter. He cuts a board of unknown length L into 3 equal pieces. So let's think about that. So we have some board, and let's assume I draw this so all those pieces are the same. Doesn't quite look that way, but they're supposed to be the same. Express the length of each piece in terms of L. Well, if we know that whole thing is L, each piece is how much? Well, since they're supposed to be equal, if we divide L by 3, that's how much one piece should be. That should be L over 3, and that should be L over 3, and that should be L over 3 because they're all equal. So that plus that plus that will give us L. So our expression is the length of each piece. Well, that's just L over 3. And so that would be the expression we need to do to find out the length of each one of these smaller pieces. All right, the next one. David collects K dollars in a savings account paying 3% per year. He invests half of this amount in a mutual fund paying 4% per year. Now we want to express the amount he invested in the mutual fund in terms of K, the amount invested in the savings account. So we have a lot of extraneous information here. We have, it's a savings account paying 3% per year. Well, we are not worried about paying 3% per year. We worry about he invests half of this amount in a mutual fund paying, again, we really don't care about how much that one's paying. So we invest half of this amount into the mutual fund. So what do we get? Well, we get 1/2 of K. Or we could also write that as K over 2. So either one of those would give us what we were looking for. We're spending or investing half as much in the mutual fund as we put into that savings account. So K divided by 2 or half of K. Both of those are the same thing. All right, so this one says a second number is 4 less than 3 times a first number. Express the second number in terms of the first number, y. All right, so this first number is y. All right, so the second number is, well, again, we don't care what that second number is. What we want is everything over here, because if we put that second number is, that gives us an equation, and we just want to write the expression. So we want 4 less than 3 times a number y. Well, to get that, we have to take 3 times y. 4 less than that, we have to subtract 4 off. And so now we have 3 times the first number less 4, and that gives us what our second number is going to be equal to. All right, what about this one? The width of a rectangle is W. The length is 7 inches longer than twice the width. Okay, so 7 inches longer than twice the width. That's what we want to express. So we're expressing the length of the rectangle in terms of its width. So length is 7 inches longer than twice the width. Well, twice the width and 7 inches longer plus 7. And so that would give us the actual length. Now again, that would, if we were writing this eventually, we're going to say, well, that's L equals 2W plus 7, and that's what we would get. We would want it as an equation. We wouldn't want it as just the expression, but that would be what the expression is. And so, if you think about this, we have some width, and this is 2W plus 7. So that's our length. So we have our width and we have our length, okay? All right, so here we're going to do some more. It says, suppose 2n represents an even whole number, okay? How could we represent the next even number after 2n? Well, if we have 2n, okay, we're going to have to add something to that to make another even number. Well, if we have that, let's just the next one after that. Well, if we had 2n plus 1, well, that's going to be odd because this is even plus 1, that gives us an odd. We don't want that. So that's not what we want. Well, what's 1 bigger than that? 2. An even number plus an even number is going to be an even number. And so 2n plus 2 is the expression that they're looking for here as far as what is the next even number represented past the first even number of 2n. Okay. All right, so here we have, suppose 2n plus 1 represents an odd whole number. Okay, so 2n plus 1 is odd. How could we represent the next odd number after 2n plus 1? All right, well, if that's 2n plus 1, if we take and add one more to that, 2n plus 2, well, guess what? We already know that's even. So if we add one more after that, 2n plus 3, well, now we should be back to an odd. And if you notice, we had 2n, and that was even. To get back to the next even, we had to add 2. And here we had 2n plus 1 is odd. We had to add 2 to get to the next odd, because if you think about it, it goes even, odd, even, odd. And so if you have 1 here, you have to add plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, add 2 to get to the next even. Now, if we wanted to get to the next odd, we just add 1. And if we want to get to 2 odds, we add 3. And if we want to go to 2 evens, we can even do that. We can add 4, okay? But we just want the next odd after 2n plus 1, and so that would be our 2n plus 3, all right? So again, it's kind of thinking about what the orders are. Here we had even, odd. So if this was the actual first one, the 2n plus 1, to get to the next one, we had to add 2, and so that's where we got that. All right, this one says there are B bags of mulch produced each month. How many bags of mulch are produced each year? Well, how many months are there in a year? Well, there are 12 months in a year, and each month has B bags. So if we take 12 times B, that will tell us how many bags are produced each year. So if we had, 1 bag of mulch produced each month, then we take 12 times 1, and that would give us a 12. But all we know really is it's a B, okay? Let's see. So here it says Steve sells twice as many products as Mike. Choose a variable and write an expression for each man's sales. All right, so let's say Mike is equal to M. And it says Steve sells twice as many as Mike. Well, then Steve, let's say he's S. S is equal to 2M. Okay. But we just want the expression for each man's sales. So 2M, that's going to be Steve, and M, that's going to be Mike. Okay, so we're not putting equals, we're just saying, well, this is what is equal to Steve, this is what equal Mike, and that's going to be what it is. Okay, but in reality, we're saying S is equal to 2M because, that's S is Steve, M is equal to Mike, so Mike is just M, okay? So that's what it is, but we're really looking at just the expression, so we have 2M and M. All right, so that's all I have here.